year 2018 for the Community Development Block Grant. The report is required to be submitted to HUD 90 days following the close of the program period. The city's 2018 program year ended on July 31st. The city expended $302,000, and with that money in program year 2018, we assisted 5 households with energy efficiency program. We basically replaced hot water tanks and furnaces. We allowed 12 units to be rehabilitated through rental rehab program. We had 126 homeless persons that received emergency shelter assistance and wraparound supportive services. We also supported the neighborhood policing program, which provides community policing in areas that have high concentrations of low to moderate income housing. We also expended part of the funds on 3 public facility projects, which included the Cedar Street Reconstruction Project, the Walnut Street Reconstruction Project, and funding for design for the Brady Leap segment of the hike and bike trail.
Any questions from the audience? Seeing none, we're adjourned. Thank you, Bridget.
Thank you.
We got 3 minutes before it's official to start council meeting, so if anybody wants to talk to us under public communication, you must sign in with the clerk to be recognized.
Do you know of any type of a program?
I've been out on the campaign trail, and I have to say it's discouraging how many people don't even know that there's an election. So I would urge each and every one of us to remind people to get out and vote and exercise the right that so many people have fought and died for our country, and so many people don't have around the world. And that's about all I have to say about that. And with that, if we'd stand for the pledge, if you're able. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Need a motion for the minutes, Mr. Ferrer?
I would move to approve the minutes of the regular council meeting on September 18th and the public hearing October 2nd.
Second.
Second by Mr. Kuhar. Are there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
1 abstention.
I'm never going to be able to read these.
Just a note to go along with that, the Democracy Day public hearing, those letters have been sent out by our clerk, and they should have been delivered at the appropriate desks. Hopefully, we'll get some comment back. Communications, is there any audience communication tonight?
Judy Nelson.
Please give your name and address for the record, and we will give you 3 minutes, Judy.
You can just pull that.
Probably better off just taking it off.
Lady Beezers, take it off, yeah.
All right. Good evening. Judy Nelson, 330 Whetstone Drive. So first I want to thank you for the opportunity to serve the city on the Sustainability Commission the past 3 years. My final day is Friday. I've enjoyed it, and I've learned a lot, and I've made friendships and networked with people that I hope to continue with those. So I'm not here this evening to talk as a representative of the commission. I'm here to speak for myself as a citizen. So I also wanted to thank you for the support that you gave for our initiatives and the efforts, and for reaching out to us for our input at times. We are grateful for that, and I am grateful for that. We were not necessarily successful with everything that we attempted, but it was a lesson in the political process. Sometimes we need to recognize that collaboration and compromise is necessary when we're doing the people's business. Also want to thank Bridget and the city staff members who shared their knowledge and their expertise with us so that we could make more informed decisions. And last but not least, by any means, I want to express my appreciation to Harrison. He is absolutely fantastic, awesome. I can't think of enough adjectives to describe. He was extremely helpful in all of the things, all the processes that we did on the commission. He truly is an asset to the city. I intend to remain involved in some of the things going on in the city with the climate action plan There are community members on that, so I will continue with that because I feel that's very important. And also, I have volunteered to Bill Steiner with the Portage County Solid Waste District because I'm very concerned about our recycling crisis that we have, and they are engaging in an awareness campaign, and I intend to help in whatever way I can. So you will see more of me. And it is my hope that Kent will continue to be a leader in sustainability, not as a feather in our cap so much, but just because it's the right thing to do. To truly be a sustainable Kent, as I like to call it, both, not just both, but environmentally, economically, and socially, we cannot lose sight of the bigger picture. We must always be asking ourselves, how do my actions, my choices, and those of the city impact the greater good, not just for today, but also for future generations? So thank you for hearing me out. And the mayor was at the Clean Transportation Cruise In, and I think he picked out his next car. Which EV are you getting?
It's called a Volkswagen with no motor. It's a windmill in the back. Just kidding.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
Judy.
much for your service.
Appreciate it.
That's it?
That's it. Written communications, please.
Okay. Planning Commission agenda for October 1st and the staff report for September 25th was received on September 25th, 2019. The Standing Rock Cemetery minutes for September 12th were received on October 3rd, 2019. Also received a liquor license transfer request from the Ohio Division of Liquor Control for Brico Kent LLC, doing business as Brico, of 210 South Peister Street, to Brico Dining Kent LLC, Kent, on September 26, 2019. Chief Lee returned no objections on this.
Move to return with no objections. Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Okay. Received a few communications after the agenda was published. The Sustainability Commission agenda for October 14th and the meeting minutes from September 9th were both received on October 11th, 2019, and the Parks and Rec Board packet containing the meeting agenda for October 17th and the meeting minutes from September 19th was also received on October 11th.
Okay, thank you. City manager report, Jack?
Yes, I'll move items 1 through 12 on the city manager's report.
Second?
Second by Mr. Ferrara. Are there any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Mr. Brewer, you have anything else?
That's all for tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thanks. Okay, we're going into standing committees. The first one is the Committee of the Whole. I believe it was, we were talking about the City Hall, and there's no action recommended. But we need a motion for committee meeting.
Move to approve.
Second.
Second by Mr. DeLeone. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, one abstention. That's it. We're in the Community Development Committee. Mr. Kuhar.
Move to approve the committee meetings of October 2nd, and there are no actions.
Second?
Second by Mr. Ferrer. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. One abstention. Finance Committee, Mr. DeLeone.
Yeah, I'd like to move the committee meeting minutes from October 2nd, 2019.
Is there a second?
Second?
Second by Mr. Ferrer. Is there any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Abstain.
One abstention.
I'd also like to move the 3 actions recommended.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
Second by Mr. Ferrer. Is there any discussion on the actions? All in favor of the actions signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you.
Abstain.
One abstention. Would the clerk read draft number 2019-114 in title only?
Draft 2019-114, an ordinance accepting a donation in the amount of $250 to the City of Kent Parks and Recreation Department to support the Torch Fest that was held on June 20th, 2019, and declaring an
Move
emergency.
suspension.
Second.
Please call the roll on suspension.
Mr. Amrhein.
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone.
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara.
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar.
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg.
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer.
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti.
Yes.
Mr. Turner.
Yes.
Ms. Wallach.
Yes.
Move adoption.
Option.
Second by Mr. Kuhar. Is there any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Please call the roll for adoption.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara?
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
And Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Ordinance 2019-114 is passed.
Okay, thank you. Would the clerk read draft number 2019-115 in title only?
2019-115, a resolution declaring it necessary to renew the city's existing 1.16 mil tax levy for the purpose of current expenses, requesting the county auditor to certify the total current tax valuation of the city and the dollar amount of revenue that would be generated by that renewal levy pursuant to sections 5705.03, 5705.19A, and 5705.191 of the revised code and declaring an emergency.
Suspension.
Second.
Second by Heidi. Please call the roll on suspension.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara?
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Roger. Is there any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Please call the roll for adoption.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara?
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Resolution 2019, or ordinance 2019-115 is passed.
Okay, thank you. Would the clerk read draft number 2019-116 in title only?
Draft 2019-116, an ordinance amending ordinance number 2018-142, the current appropriation ordinance passed December 19th, 2018, so as to adjust appropriations, transfers, and advances from the various funds of the City of Kent to individual accounts for the current expenses of the city for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2019, and declaring an
Move
emergency.
suspension.
Second.
Second by Mr. Kuhar. Please call the roll on suspension.
Mr. Ferrara?
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Mr. Ferrer. Is there any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Seeing none, please call the roll for adoption.
Mr. Ferrara?
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
2019-116 is passed.
Okay, thank you. Would the clerk read draft number 2019-119 in title only?
Draft 2019-119, an ordinance accepting a donation in the amount of $250 to the City of Kent Health Department from the University Hospital Portage Medical Center and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second.
Please call the roll for suspension.
Mr. Kuhar?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara?
Yes. Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Mr. DeLeone. Is there any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Gwen?
Just I'd like to express our thanks for their donation.
Okay. Anything else? Please call the roll for adoption.
Mr. Kuhar?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara?
Yes.
Ordinance 2019-119 has passed.
Okay, thank you. Would the clerk read draft number 2019-120 in title only?
2019-120, an ordinance authorizing the city budget and finance director and law director or their designees to sign an addendum to an employment contract between the City of Kent and David Ruler dated July 3rd, 2008, granting a 4% pay increase raise effective June 15th, 2019, and declaring an emergency.
Suspension.
Second.
Please call the roll on suspension.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara?
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar?
Yes.
Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Heidi. Is there any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Please call the roll for adoption.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara?
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar?
No.
Okay, is there further, Mr. DeLeone?
No, that is all.
Health and Public Safety, Mr. Amrhein.
Yes, I'd like to move the committee meeting minutes from October 2nd.
Second.
Second by Mr. Ferrer. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Abstain.
One abstention.
And the one action recommended, please.
Second.
Second by Mr. Kuhar. Any discussion on the action? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you. Would the clerk read draft number 2019-118 in title only?
Draft 2019-118, an ordinance adopting Chapter 746 film permits of the codified ordinances of the City of Kent, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second.
Second by Mr. DeLeone. Please call the roll for suspension.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara?
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Move adoption.
Second. Second by Roger. Is there any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Seeing none, please call the roll for adoption.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara?
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ordinance 2019-118 has passed.
Okay, thank you. Is there further, Mr. Amrhein?
No, that's all.
Land use, there's no business to be discussed tonight. Streets and sidewalks and utilities, Mr. Sidoti.
Yes, I'd like to move the committee meeting minutes of October 2nd, 2019, and the one action that's recommended.
Can you split those, please?
Okay, I will split those. I just will move the meeting minutes, October 2nd.
Second.
Second by Mr. Kuhar. Any discussion on the minutes? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Abstain.
One abstention.
Okay, now I'd like to move the action recommended.
Second.
Second by Mr. Ferrer. Is there any discussion on the actions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Passes. All right, would the clerk please read draft number 2019-117 in title only?
Draft 2019-117, an ordinance amending Chapter 939 of the Streets, Utilities, and Public Services Code, use of public ways for small cell wireless facilities and wireless support structures, and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second.
Second. Please call the roll on suspension.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara?
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Move adoption.
Oh, second.
Second by Mr. DeLeone. Is there any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Please call the roll for adoption.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara?
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Ordinance 2019-117 is passed.
Okay, thank you. Is there further, Mr. Sidoti?
Nothing further, Mr. Mayor.
All right, from committee reports, is there any special committee reports tonight? None? Unfinished business, anything? Heidi, or
No,
Tracy?
I think it's new
Oh,
business.
Oh, all right. New business items needing council action or referral? Tracy had her hand up first.
So, I brought this up before. We need to start doing stuff now to deal with climate change. And one of the things that is really starting to upset me is whenever I go to like a convenience store or something like that, or a bank, cars, they leave their cars running, they go into the store for like 5-10 minutes, and they just leave their cars running. So I was wondering if we could put in a committee some sort of a discussion about, can we just have something that we can, the people can voluntarily put up on their window that says, first of all, it's an ordinance, it's illegal to leave your car unattended, first of all. And then can we say things like, this this puts mileage on your motor even though you're not going anywhere, so it's bad for the car, and it contributes to climate change, and it contributes to things like asthma. I mean, it puts particulates in the air when it doesn't have to. I mean, this is something that people don't have to do, and this has become a habit, and I don't know why. This is like some new development. So can we put that into a discussion in a committee or something on how we can handle that?
Are you making a motion to put in a committee?
Yes.
All right, is there a second to this?
Second.
Second by Mr. Ferrara. Further, Tracy, discussion?
I think I've said everything it drives me crazy. I mean, for a while, I was going up to people, I was knocking on the car window, I said, excuse me, if you turn off your car, will you be able to start it? And I said, could you please turn it off then, please? Because I said I had a son who had asthma. But
Garrett?
It's really effective if you move the car while it's still running, too. I might add.
You think? Are you done?
I'm done.
Heidi?
Yeah, I've noticed that, that also occurs in the neighborhoods where people leave their cars running, or even city. Trucks leave their cars running, or trucks running, and it contributes not only to air pollution, but noise pollution as well. Do we have, I mean, I guess this would be for this topic, but it would be some kind of an idling policy. Like, isn't that called idling?
we do have an ordinance that says if you leave your car unattended while running, that's illegal. That's against the city ordinance.
Is there any more comment?
Nope.
All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Are you further, Tracy?
I have another one, yeah.
No, I'm asking further.
Yeah, I think we probably already have a law in the books that's against littering, don't we? I'm sure we probably do. I just had a resident ask me about that. She wants to make it harder, tougher. So could you just, please somebody send me that ordinance?
They can go to the website, city website, and pull it up.
I could send it, that's okay.
All right.
Thank you.
I can do it, yeah.
Heidi, your turn.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to do a little ease into this. First of all, I want to say thank you to the city for designating South DePeister Street, the street that I partially live on, because I live on two. I'm on a corner, to get sidewalks replaced and repaired. It's huge difference in the neighborhood. I mean, already our houses look better. I mean, and I see tons of people out walking. We've always had a lot of walkers in the neighborhood. It's, I posted it on my Facebook page, and I just counted, I've got 84 likes so far and a few comments, and it's a good thing. So here's the kicker. What I noticed prior to getting the sidewalks repaired, much of the repair work involves upheaval and trees. We can't do anything about that. However, there's a lot of situations where human action or inaction has caused problems with the sidewalks, such as leaving leaves covering the sidewalk forever, for the whole entire season of winter. They degrade, they create a situation where there's dirt then on the sidewalk and the grass grows over. So people, this has happened on numerous properties, I've noticed. There's overgrowth of vegetation. People don't edge their sidewalks and sometimes don't cut the vegetation. There's gravel accumulation, there's broken glass. And I'm hoping, you know, with new sidewalks, people will notice more when something needs to be done. But what I'd like to propose is to put this into committee to explore looking at a way to encourage citizens to take care of the sidewalks. And, you know, it could be as simple as some kind of a campaign to put out there, but also, you know, look at the ordinances or the penalties that we already have, because I've noticed that our code inspector has tagged some people for having overgrowth. But, you know, I think that it's a point of pride. Many people do take care of the sidewalks, and, you know, it's part of, it could be part of the external maintenance code that we are also looking at when we inspect a rental property. I just would like to find a way to, you know, encourage more citizen sidewalk maintenance. it's a good thing, you know, we don't want to have to be doing this every few years. So,
Is
that's
there- is there a
my
motion in there
motion.
someplace?
Yes,
Thank
my
you.
motion is this.
Is
Put
there-
into committee, Streets and Sidewalks Committee, discussion of citizen sidewalk maintenance. And, you know, with the staff bringing in their expertise.
Is there a second?
Second, sure.
You second it, Tracy?
Yeah, second it.
All right. And there can't be any more discussion, can there, Heidi?
Nope.
Tracy, do you have something you want to say?
No.
Mr. Sidoti?
I think that if this motion passes, I think it's timely. I recall, 4 years ago, we invested money in signs for snow shoveling of sidewalks. I think that when you talk about sidewalk maintenance, we're talking about a whole breadth of things, between the leaves being left, people taking care of their sidewalks. I think it's more than just edging the grass on the sidewalks. I think that's all I'm suggesting.
Right.
That's got to be part of the conversation if you're going to put this in committee.
Tracy, you got something else?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think, didn't we have some sort of like a little award for people that kept their sidewalk shoveled too and something? So maybe we could do that for that maintenance too.
We did, it was for shoveling sidewalks. Liz Zork was the one that did that.
You had signs too, I think.
Yeah, we had signs. Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Anybody else? Any future council meetings need scheduled? Gwen,
I have a comment, if we're ready for comments.
you want to wait for council comments then?
Sure.
All right, now we're in council comments.
Oh, thank you. All right. I'd like to pass along an invitation from Ann Puhala, who is a government teacher at Kent Roosevelt High School. And actually, Roger had reminded me of this as well, so thank you for that. There, on Friday, October 20, and this is for all of council and presumably all those attending in the audience that may be interested. Friday, October 25th at 10 a.m., the high school is having a naturalization ceremony for people becoming citizens of the United States, and a federal judge is going to be on hand for the ceremony, and I think they expect
40.
Yep, 40 people to turn out, which is fantastic. And then they build a whole culture fair around the event, and it's a tremendous deal for the students, and I think it's a wonderful thing. I plan to attend. And I just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of it, if they hadn't heard from Ms. Puhala yet about that, so I just wanted to extend that invitation.
Can you maybe put those dates and what's going to happen in an email and send us to all of us?
Yeah, for sure, okay.
All right. Any more comment, Mr. Kuhar?
Yeah, I'd just like to take a moment to thank our police force for the good work they've been doing over the last couple of weeks, and catching the streakers and the vandalism, graffiti people. You know, the damages those people continuously do is horrendous. And, you know, the same weekend that they caught this group downtown, one of my tenants told me that they chased somebody off the roof of our building again. And they've been caught before, and now if we can just convince the judges to make them do something in response, you know, for a penalty, it'd be real nice. You know, like come and have, one person was offered to either come and paint the wall that he degraded or fade paint it. And 2 years later, he must have been trying to do something, so we got a check from his attorney. But the judges need to, you know, make some type of a punishment other than a $50 fine for these people that are doing the graffiti work. I mean, and most of them are not little kids, they're grown adults. So, thank you very much, and keep up the good work.
Is there further? Mr. Turner?
Yeah, I'd like to, since John has kind of dealt with the police issue, I'd like to commend our service department based on what they've been doing, and I could especially point out what's been done on the south end. They've identified some streets that we've been able to come in and improve. That has had a tremendous impact down there. It makes the area look better. It gives people perhaps a better response to being stakeholders. And the way they've been able to do that by target. I think a lot of that credit also goes to Bridget. By looking up where we can get grants and get monies to the issues, we're going to be a more pedestrian-friendly community, and vehicles that we're using, they don't have to dodge potholes or chuck holes or whatever those are. I think there needs to be a commendation to them. It has been outstanding. That's the number one issue for residents of this city. And I just want to know how we can appreciate what's being done, because they get a lot of, we get a lot of backlash and a lot of talking down of where we are. But I think we've moved dramatically in the last couple of years to start dealing with that issue. And I just want to know how appreciative I am, because being where I live and seeing those roads be improved has moved us leaps and bounds from where we were to where we are now. So thank you to them. Hopefully we'll be able to help generate some greater resources to help you move even quicker in dealing with those. So thanks again.
Mr. Sidoti.
I'd like to just add one other thing. I have had at least 3, maybe 4 comments from citizens about the beautiful stamped concrete down by the puffer belly, and how they were just blown away by that. And I just think that the service department deserves tremendous kudos. I know David had mentioned that that was going to be done, but I really think that just adds a dimension that really looks great down there. And people have noticed it, because people have just arbitrarily come up and said, hey, did you see this? And I go, oh yeah, I think it looks great. But 3 or 4 people, I just, so I think that it just builds on what Robin is saying. That people are noticing the good work of the service department as well as our community development. I think both are doing things that are being noticed in the community. That's important.
Tracy?
Yeah, I want to say, I think it's really fantastic that the brick road is finally getting relayed down there at Franklin. I mean, how long has that been like that? Forever.
You mean Franklin Avenue?
Yeah, no, I mean, they're smoothing it out. I mean, remember all the divots and everything? I mean, they're going down there and replacing the bricks, and it's really nice now.
Gwen?
Just with the stamped concrete and the sidewalk around the gazebo there, was that also in conjunction with our Parks and Rec department as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. That's right.
Very well together. And it was collaboration between the 2 departments. So again, my hats are off to them that we're able to make a project that comes out so nice. They'll finish it by backfilling it so that everything is safe and everything. Again, it's just a great job. 2 departments that were able to get together and make that combination.
I think that's great. Thank you very much. I'm so pleased to hear that. Thank you.
Further council comments? Mayor comments. October's been a very busy month in the city of Kent. To you that came to Oktoberfest on the 5th, if you notice, it was from 11 o'clock to 10 o'clock at night. It was packed. The success was so much they ran out of beer and had to keep going to find beer to sell down there. On October 9th, we recognized the fallen firefighters on the bridge. If you've been on the Main Street Bridge, those black banners with the red insert in that's the national symbol for fallen firefighters. We did the police, which was the black with the blue line in it, and May, and next year in April we'll do the dispatchers, and that's all our first responders we're going to recognize. So I hope that's an ongoing thing in the city of Kent. And yesterday, Jack and I and Roger in spirit, we hosted 30 German students from the high school here. They come every 2 years, and they seem to want to know how our government runs in a way, and the best thing I take out of it is how they run their government back there. And that's been quite a successful thing for us every other 2 years. And the last thing I have was thanks Amy for her certification for the sunshine laws and sticking out for the rest of us 10 over here. So thank you, Amy, for getting that certification.
No problem.
So that's all I have. We are adjourned.
Sweet.
Yeah, I had
I'm not a
very
huge law show, but I really enjoyed it. Surprisingly, like I had low expectations.
look at
It's
my book,
become,
Mary.
Whoops, sorry, sorry.
like one of my
Right there.
favorites. It's
Because you
the
had to see your
Goliath,
home.
Billy Bob
Not
Thornton.
bad.
I wasn't sure if they're
Because he pops off.
On your roof, aren't you?
He's like you.
We,
Anyways, hey,
I remember it was 1 o'clock in the morning.
Well, you know where they were.
standing over
They
there.
passed it fly across the room.
He wants to work at Lake City to find a